Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be going through LCQ predictions day 1, so you guys can get as much Pro Pass XP as possible to get you guys those legendary star drops and everything else. So I'll be going through this every single day. I'll be doing a video, but also doing a lot of analysis and maybe even streaming some of LCQ as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and also check out my second channel where I'll be doing even more pro content. So if you guys are unaware, there is a last chance qualifier. So essentially 4 teams out of, I think, 16, out of 16 will go through from this event, which is live in Brazil in a day's time. So we can predict over on the event Supercell or event.brawlstars website. I'll put that link in the description, but you see there's 3 days that we can predict for. There's 12 matches, and I will just say, quick disclaimer, this is one of the closest tournaments I could possibly predict for. I'm being genuinely serious. This level of competition will be insane. I think every other LCQ, there's been a few surprises, but I've always thought, okay, this team's clearly better than the other team. They'll beat them. But in terms of like scrims, in terms of just how many teams can actually qualify, it is crazy. The level of competition in Brawl Stars keeps going up, which I'm really excited about. So I've got a bunch of resources as well in terms of scrim data, in terms of everything else, so I'll use all the resources available here. So first up, we've got a Group D game. We've got BC Gaming versus Team Electros. So I don't think we need to really dive into the data too much here. I mean, we can if we want, but Team Electros look really good in scrims right now. The biggest problem with Team Electros is that Rafiki, their third, well, actually 2 of their members actually couldn't, well, Bilal couldn't make it because his passport wasn't renewed, and then Rafiki's only going to be coming in, well, today I think, or he just came in yesterday, so he only has like 1 day practice. But Rafiki is a very good player, so regardless. So in terms of like their scrim percent, by the way, I'll put this link in the description. This is really cool. With this document, Sugus, the tribe analyst, he puts through all the scrim data, so if you want to run through it all, you can take a look here. There's also I think a guy, Nako, he streams scrims as well, which I'll put a link as well to him. We can see all the data here. So in terms of their win percentage here, we'll take a look at Group D. We can see Electros 56%. That is pretty much the best out of their group. And you know Electros, they like to grind. BC, they have been grinding, but I don't know whether they have, I mean, scrims doesn't say everything, but I can just kind of, I get the feeling. And then if we take a look at the match arena, we see BC Gaming, they did beat, well, they actually beat Rival. Okay, I didn't realize they beat Rival. So they're not like as bad as maybe some people make out, but then they did crash out there, I believe. Where did BC get set back to? I don't see them in the lower bracket, but I was following. Oh, okay, they were losing final, and they lost to Toxic Lotus. So okay, so that's a big result, them actually beating Rival, because Rival look really, really good. So BC aren't going to be any walkover, and I could see a little bit of an upset here in terms of maybe Electros's preparation, but let's just go with what's best on paper, and it's Team Electros. Team Electros are the better team on paper. So again, another one, we don't have to overthink too much. I can assure you KDS are a really good team, and I don't want to put too much discredit to them, but Papara SuperMassive from the best region, I mean, I'm not biased, EMEA is the best region. The only thing, again, that's not really going for Papara SuperMassive, they're one of the last teams to go to Brazil in terms of like flying over, and in terms of preparation. We can see by their sets as well, they haven't really scrimmed a whole lot in comparison to other teams. I think Semantic gave me some stats as well, which I'll get up in a second, but I think in terms of the amount of sets they've actually scrimmed, it's not actually that much. So Supermassive, 122 sets he had, that was yesterday, in comparison to the rest of Supermassive's group. They had like nearly 400 sets scrimmed at that point, so they haven't really scrimmed a whole lot. I'm not too sure why, but I just think that their level will be a bit too much for KDS. I think they're looking like one of the weaker teams at LCQ, unfortunately. I mean, upsets can happen, but on paper, Papara SuperMassive. So next up, I think this is a pretty easy one, right? I mean, I think Chapter of Happiness will actually surprise some people in terms of their skill. I think one thing that's going to let down Chapter of Happiness, well, there's a couple of things. You can take a look at the Chinese mainland championship finals. You can see this happened. When did this happen? Quite a few months ago, right? But anyways, this is how they qualified for last chance qualify, where Toxic Lotus beating LOR, which are actually New Heights Gaming now, and then Chapter Happiness are here. They lost 3-0 to their second best team. So that's just giving some context. So they were the 3rd seed in the Chinese mainland. People do discredit Chinese mainland, but after we see Toxic Lotus performance in Brawl Cup, we can't really sleep on them too much. But I think after, did they play the match arena? I'm pretty sure they did, or did they not? Chapter Happiness, yes. So they lost 2-0 versus Rival Esports. By the way, this was a pre-LCQ tournament that happened last night, which I watched. And then Chapter of Happiness, they lost to SK Kalalas as well. So they got swept twice. It's not really looking too good for them. Again, we don't really need to overcomplicate things, but just want to give you guys some context. Reply Totem, there we go. And then we have this match here, Na'Vi versus UPCore Esports. So again, I do really like the team on UPCore Esports, but I feel like in terms of like their preparation, it might have been a bit skewed with all of the drama going on with the visas. You know, one time they had Izlevi on their roster, then they had Zulan on their roster. Like, a lot was going on with their roster, and yeah, they are one of the weaker regions. Again, this isn't being even biased or anything like that. That's just purely stating facts. I think they are really good players, but it might be a bit too soon for them, and it's Na'Vi, right? I mean, not to be fair, Na'Vi haven't even been looking completely the best. You take a look at their win percentage, you can see here it is 47%, and yeah, all year they've not been looking too great. I watched them watched a lot of their scrims. They've not really been looking too hot, to be honest, so a potential for an upset, but I'm still going to go Na'Vi here. I'm going to go Na'Vi and go with the favorite. So next up, we've got Experian, NXT, which are the team from EMEA, and Casa Brawl. So Casa Brawl, they had such a hot start to the year. So let's see if I can take a look at their region here. So if I take a look, where is Casa Brawl on here? I didn't understand their logo, but South America, we take a look at their region here, and they had a hot start. I believe they won the first monthly final. Yeah, they did. They won the first monthly final, guys, and then it just kind of went down from there, and they just kind of barely made it even to LCQ at that point. And they did look like last year, I think they were the better team than Loud, I can't remember, or they were like neck and neck with Loud, and then they just completely fell off. They also dropped one of their better players. So yeah, question marks over Casa Brawl, but they're definitely a really strong team still. So with Casa Brawl, I don't know, it's a bit of a question marks. But then we've got NXT. So NXT are, in my opinion, a really underrated team. But with NXT, again, I don't think they've really scrimmed too much. I didn't even get the data from Semantic, but NXT, so we've got 200 sets, so the least sets played out of their group. So the reason why I'm saying that is because just playing a lot of sets is very important for draft and draft knowledge, and the win percentage lowest again, but they're from EMEA, they're from the strongest region. I just get the feeling, like, again, I'm really biased because I really like NXT's roster. I really do. I think all of their players are fantastic, especially Arthur. Known him for a while, and he's a really good player. But I think Casa Brawl will just edge it. So if you take a look at the LCQ tournament that went on yesterday, I think Casa Brawl will just have better preparation as well. Of course, being from Brazil, they've just been quite settled. I think NXT traveled late as well. These things do impact the game. It does. And you can see here, Casa Brawl, they do end up only losing to Toxic Lotus in the grand finals of this, by the way. So it's going to show, I know not all teams played in this LCQ tournament yesterday, but it goes to show that they're at a decent enough level. So I think here, I'm going to go Casa Brawl. I think the Brazilian crowd might be a bit too much for NXT here. So let's go with Rival Esports versus Toxic Lotus. So this one is probably going to be the biggest game of the day, I would say. Rival Esports looking like the best teams in scrims at the moment. If you take a look at where is it, the sheet, so take a look at Rival, 60%. I think only Crazy Raccoon have a better one, and even so, I think by the stats that Semantic gave me, if I take a look here, so Rival Esports, so they had a 61.5% on Semantic stats that they gave me, and they've scrimmed like 500 times in the last 2 weeks, which is just crazy. Absolutely, like 500 sets, which is insane. And then you take a look at Toxic Lotus. So with Toxic Lotus, 55% and 450. So both of them are looking pretty good. Toxic Lotus as well won the pre-LCQ, with Rival actually crashing out against, who did they play against? Team Electros. Okay, so I mean, Rival are really good in terms of, but can they bring it on the biggest stage? That is a question mark here. That is a question mark. So I'm gonna I don't know, like, if we're talking who looks better in scrims, it's Rival, right? This is the team that everyone's fearing. But I'm going to go with Toxic Lotus. I'm going to go with a bit biased here. I think their performance in Brawl Cup was insane. And if they can bring that level again, I think they'll beat Rival. I really think they will. They literally beat Tribe, guys. They beat Tribe. They put such a statement out. I think they'll beat them. Right, next up we have Inner Circle versus Revenant. So this will be an interesting one. Although on paper you might think straight away, oh, Inner Circle, you know, their go-to team. But Revenant are going to be the surprise package potentially again. So if you guys remember in Brawl Cup, they had such a good win rate in scrims, and everyone was like, okay, these could be a dark horse. And then they didn't really perform at all in Brawl Cup, in my opinion. I mean, there was glimpses, but they didn't really perform to like their scrims level. But again, in scrims, they are looking pretty good. You see here by the win percentage, better than Inner Circle and better than a lot of teams in here right now. So in terms of the other stats I've got as well, Revenant, they had a 58.9 on the stats that Semantic gave me, and they've scrimmed 400 times. So they had the most amount of sets played by far in their group, even like 100 more than Inner Circle. So of course we know the guys on Inner Circle are absolutely insane. So we take a look at some actual data in terms of their days here. So you can take a look here. So it's Inner Circle versus Revenant here. So we take a look at some scrims. You know, Inner Circle 6-5 versus Na'Vi. We had Inner Circle, any more here that I can see? Inner Circle 5-3 versus. So like we're not winning scrims, but we're still like, they're pretty neck and neck. I mean, you don't actually play a scrim to win, if you get what I mean. You want to just try things out. So they're not getting like completely destroyed, but they're definitely showing a good level. And then in terms of Revenant here, so Revenant, it's a bit confusing to go through all of this data, and you guys probably get lost, but I'll try and call it out. So I've lost 7-3 versus Totem here. This was just yesterday. I think they had better results the other day. I think it was like Tuesday and Monday. People were like, okay, Revenant are here to play, looking good. So they beat Totem, yes, the day before. Revenant again 8-2 versus Casa Brawl. So you can just see that's just a few examples, but looking really good in scrims. But does that correlate to performances? I don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if Revenant do like fuster something up here, but I'm gonna go with Inner Circle. They are the better team on paper, guys, so that's what we're mainly going for here in predictions to help you guys. I might do a few hot takes, but I think here, I don't think there's any debate whatsoever. I mean, New Heights Gaming, I think they'll be the most underrated team in the whole tournament. I mean, people are talking about Rival and Revenant, etc. I think New Heights Gaming will be completely slept on, but I just don't think they'll have the draft. So I think we'll just, it's Crazy Raccoon, it's Tensai. We'll just go with Crazy Raccoon there. So, elimination match, KDS versus BC Gaming. So, KDS BC Gaming, let's take a look at Liquipedia here. So KDS, this is Group D in the corner right here. BC Gaming, we can see that they had a good match arena like we mentioned earlier. They beat New Heights Gaming 2-0. They actually beat Rival as well, which again been looking like the best team, people have been saying, in scrims out of the whole LCQ. So good results there, and they only just lost 2-0 to Toxic Lotus. And then KDS, I don't think they were even in this tournament. And in terms of their scrims, I don't know whether they've been looking completely too hot. So in terms of on paper, I think BC Gaming look like the better team for sure. So I mean, if you guys want to go with like a bold prediction, you can go KDS, but I think BC Gaming will prevail in that matchup. So here we have Chapter of Happiness versus UPCore Esports. This is actually a really tough game to predict, by the way, because it's kind of two unknowns, if you know what I mean, but like two non-mainstream regions. Like unless you're like really into the community, you won't really know these two teams. Like even a lot of dedicated pros are a bit like, I don't know what these teams have to offer. And in terms of scrims, let's take a look, see what we have in terms of data, because it's probably like the only thing we really have to go off. So Chapter of Happiness, they've not really had a good win percentage at all in comparison to the rest of the teams, and UPCore have not actually been too bad. So I think on paper UPCore do look like the better team overall. Let's see if we have any scrim data to go off yesterday. So Chapter of Happiness, they lost 8-3 to I'm not too sure who that team is, to be honest. I think it's a team in Brazil for sure, but it's obviously not like a top tier team, so we did kind of get destroyed there. Is there any more? I think there was one more when I checked in terms of Chapter. Okay, no, so we beat Melodus 7-3, so I think I've heard of that team as well in Brazil, but again, this isn't like a top tier Brazilian team, but there's still Well, Brazilian team, I mean South American team. Is there any more? I don't think there's any more. So in terms of UPCore, I should probably just like, let's see if we can find UPC. Okay, there we go. I should have just done that the whole time. So UPCore, we saw here against, why didn't I do this the whole time, guys? They lost 5-1 versus Casa Brawl. They beat also Casa Brawl 4-1. They lost to NXT 6-3. Okay, so that's not the worst result in the world. They did lose 10-2 to Crazy Raccoon. They lost to, I don't know who Moya was playing with, but basically Crazy Raccoon, right? 7-4. Again, another South American team. So looks like we're not getting many reps against like the better teams. They lost to Revenant as well. So it's a bit of a, they lost 7-1 to, so it's clear that they are one of the weakest teams in LCQ. I don't think that would be harsh in saying that, right? Like 10-2 versus Toxic Lotus, 8-4. But I think they'll have more preparation and more scrims to go off than Chapter of Happiness. Because you take a look at Chapter of Happiness, I really wanted to root for them as well, but I just don't think they really have the amount of scrims. So they only have 5 scrims in this whole like sheet here. They lost against this team as well. Is there even any more? They lost against Rival 2-0. They lost against SKC. So those are the only games they played yesterday. Like, we only have like 1 day's worth of scrims to go off. So I'm going to go with UPCore Esports here. I think it'll be a closer game maybe, but I think Chapter of Happiness, I think it'll just be too much for him, especially considering if you take a look at the Chinese mainland, they did lose 3-0 to the second seeded Chinese team. And I just think they came to LCQ too late. We just don't know what they're really made of. So, yeah. All right. So, NXT versus Rival Esports here, guys. So, this could easily be as well NXT versus... Who's the other team that I predicted? It's quite a hot take, I think. Toxic Lotus. So, this could be NXT versus Rival or Toxic. So, essentially what I'm saying here... Again, this is unfortunate because NXT could show a really good level. They honestly could. Being from EMEA... I'm not being biased, but EMEA have some of the best drafts. It's not just mechanics, because everyone has really good mechanics, but I think EMEA's drafts is the best. We saw with Humble, we saw with Zeta, so it's back-to-back EMEA titles in terms of worlds. We've been looking good. EMEA at Brawl Cup as well with Humble again. So yeah, I think the level could be pretty good. I don't know. I think Rival have looked like the best team in scrims. So again, taking a look at the data that I've shown you guys right here. So take a look at the data in terms of group win rate. We can see with Rival 60%. NXT look like we've not been scrimming as much and much lower. Again, let's take a look at some match results here just to confirm some things. So in terms of Rival, I think Rival are RVL. Yeah, RVL. Let's take a look at yesterday's, for example. So SuperMassive, pretty much neck and neck, but SuperMassive are a better team than NXT. We saw, okay, 7-2 versus Totem. Did they just do really bad in script? Oh no, they won against, in the circle. They've been grinding. Look at them. That's 5 scrims at least there. And even more, like maybe 6 scrims, 7. Did they do 7 scrims yesterday, bro? They're beasts. 6-0 versus Team Electros. They lost versus Totem. And beat Loud. Okay, so then we take a look at the other day. 11-1 versus KDS. See, they're just like winning most scrims. They do lose that scrim versus a South American team. They beat BC there. And they get the day before that, just 8-1 versus Team Electros. I mean, we haven't got like completely insane amounts of data, but I think in terms of scrims, everyone is fearing them. Like the 11-0 SKC on the first day of appearing. I think Rival just... everyone's saying they look the best, so you've got to vote for them, unfortunately. I'm biased towards EMEA, but they look better. So here we are. We have Revenant versus New Heights Gaming, so I might go for a spicy take here, honestly. I don't know. This could really bite me. So, okay, so what I'm going to tell you guys to go... I know this might seem very wish-washy, but you probably, on paper, you should probably go Revenant here. But just for my predictions, I'm actually going to go different. So I don't want to do this every single one, because then I could be like, okay, well, I told you guys to go this and I voted this. So technically I'm correct in both instances. But I just want to go with New Heights Gaming here. The reason why I want to go with New Heights Gaming is because of this. So New Heights Gaming, where is it? They beat Team Electros 2-0, so that just gives me a little bit of hope with New Heights Gaming. And after speaking to OU from Toxic Lotus, he did say that their level is pretty good. It's just like their drafts. And if New Heights Gaming can get some good drafts, the problem is the drafts could be really bad from New Heights because they beat Team Electros, so they kind of knew the meta there. There was one where they lost and the drafters looked terrible. I don't know whether it was here. Or was it the elimination match? One of the drafts just looked really bad, and I was like, okay, well, it was against Loud. Yeah, it was like Max, Dynamite, and Chester. I know they're like trying things out, but like Chester's so outdated in the meta. Like Max is not good on open business and hasn't been for a while. I think the drafting needs to be improved a little bit, but I'm gonna go with spicy take. I'm gonna go with New Heights Gaming. I think this will be like a very popular one for Revenant. And like I said, Revenant been looking good in scrims, but I'm just gonna go with a spicy take here. I think people will underestimate New Heights Gaming a lot. We saw in the Chinese mainland region, they did get swept by Toxic Lotus. They took a set in the upper bracket final though. And I just think as well for the last game, you can see New Heights Gaming in the scrim sheet. Let's see. I don't think let's take a look over here. So they arrived quite late, but SKC 6-4, and SKC are a really good team, and then another South American team. And then, like I said, like they managed to beat Team Electros, who I know they're subbing in with Cappy, but that just gives me hope. Like they can actually compete. Even just taking a set of Team Electros, I would have been like, okay, they can definitely compete with these teams. So I'm gonna go with a hot take there. That's gonna be my predictions, guys, at the end. And then in terms of who I think are going through, I'll just kind of just say a prediction to begin with now, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, let's go through it quickly. Team Electros versus Berlin City. I think that actually be a much closer game than people realize, but Team Electros should take that. They're a stronger team on paper. Again, Papara SuperMassive, in terms of like percentages, I think they're like clear favorite there. So they should take that. Totem versus, that is one of the easier matchups of the day, I believe. Navi versus UPCore. I don't think Navi are actually as strong as people think, but I think they will prevail versus UPCore. Maybe a surprise might happen there, to be honest. NXT versus Casa Brawl. Again, like NXT can win that, and if they win that, that's going to be a huge game for them. Huge, because you don't want to be in the elimination match versus rival or Toxic Lotus, like two of the best teams in this tournament. So I think Casa Brawl will just because of LAN experience and stuff, I think they'll just beat them. Toxic Lotus versus Rival. Rival look better in scrims, but Toxic Lotus I think will have that aura. IC versus Revenant. Again, Revenant look good in scrims, but I think IC being from EMEA, just having better draft knowledge, etc. Crazy Raccoon versus New Heights, pretty easy there. KDS BC, again, like could be a close game, but I think BC, they look better in terms of scrims preparation and from the better region. Group B elimination, Chapter of Happiness. Again, I just think they look too weak. I think the second seed from Chinese mainland at New Heights Gaming could look a lot better than Chapter of Happiness, but hey, we'll see what they're made of. Of course, I mean, that will be a close game, to be honest. On paper, what people have been saying, those are the two worst teams from LCQ. I mean, just don't shoot the messenger. That's just what I've been hearing from a lot of people there. So yeah. And then NXT versus Rival again will be a close game, but Rival should prevail. And then again, like Revenant, they look like they're from like they're more established players, right? They look really good at scrims, but I'm just gonna go with a curveball, right? Because not all of them are gonna be going from paper. So if we take a look at who I think will qualify, then so I have New Heights Gaming going through and Rival. So Rival will be two. I'm trying to like work out the two seeds. So Berlin, UPCore, Rival. So I'm just going to quickly try and remember. Oh no, Navi would have gone through. Okay, so I'm trying to work. Oh, so there's day two's game as well. So basically what I'm trying to say here is I think Crazy Raccoon will finish top of the group. So they'll be facing second of Group C, which I think will be... I'm going to go ahead and say Rival. And I think that Crazy Raccoon will beat Rival in that game. And then Toxic Lotus, I think, will finish number 1 seed. And they'll be facing number 2 from Group A, which I think should be in a circle. So I think in a I'm going to go ahead and say Toxic Lotus will win that one, crazy enough. I think they look insane, honestly. Mechanically, Toxic Lotus look insane. I think they might have the edge, but that could be I'm just guessing at this point because maybe I'll have a better indication on day 2. These are just my first instances. And then Instincts, I mean, so Group B. So I'm going to guess Totem are going to win that group. They're going to face the second seed from Group D, which should be, I'm going to say Papara SuperMassive or Team Electros. Let's see. I'm going to say Team Electros. I'm going to say Team Electros, and then only because I think Team Electros are a really good team, but I just think their preparation's been a bit scuffed. I think then Totem will beat Team Electros and then qualify, and then it will be Na'Vi versus Papara SuperMassive, and I think Papara SuperMassive will take that. So that's going to be it for today's video in terms of predictions. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be doing day 2. I'll also be doing breakdowns of all of the games as well. So good fun. Good luck with your predictions. I don't imagine me getting like all of them correct. If I'm honest, I probably imagine me getting like 8 out of 12 correct because some of the games are really, really tough to call, like insanely tough to call. There's probably like I said, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. There's probably like 3, maybe 4 games that I'm like insanely like, okay, they'll just straight up win, and the rest of them are a bit like, ugh, could go either way. Right, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.